Did your school have a school genius that was frighteningly talented or intelligent? Where are they now? And what are they currently doing? Kid who made high-grade explosives. He was a little weird, socially awkward, but a nice guy. At the age where you dong around with firecrackers and match heads, he was the same, except he was smarter, not wiser, than you or me. So he ordered various chemicals from the internet and ended up triggering the online companies into informing the police. Armed police kicked his family's door in at 3 AM and stormed the place. Army bomb squad examined the stuff he'd made. Apparently, it was pretty much stable plastic explosive, but still had to take it out into the fields behind his house and destroy it. He got away with little more than a caution and court-ordered counseling. Fell out of touch with him, but Facebook stalking reveals he went to Cambridge to study physics. He now designs the software certain companies use to trade on the stock market. Married the daughter of a Hong Kong investment banker and splits his time between his apartment in Hong Kong and house in London. But still had to take it out into the fields behind his house and destroy it. Jokes on them. That was the point. I went to middle school with an incredibly intelligent boy. Super smart. Very attractive. Was the adopted son of the wealthiest family in town. Died from a brain tumor when we were 13. That was about 40 years ago and I still wonder how his life would have turned out. I had a similar comment. Science high school classmate. Very smart. Very handsome. But socially awkward. Died in 11th grade from a brain aneurysm. Guy was bullied a lot but he was going places. I'm still friends with the smartest guy in my school, and pretty much that I've ever met. His uni entrance score was the highest my high school has ever had before or since. He's married to a great woman and has a couple of terrific kids. He is a VP in a global chemicals company, and he's still a terrific bloke. AWW, that's nice. I was one of the smartest kids in my school and though I've been successful professionally, I'm completely off track personally. No clue if I'll even find someone to marry. So my high school was a gifted school. With the exception of scholarship purposes, we all went to top 30 universities. But still, I didn't meet real genius until I went to college. This guy, 1 year above me, went on College Jeopardy and annihilated everyone. He was tens of thousands of dollars ahead of everyone every round. He won overall, graduated from our school, then went to our rival, MIT, and got his PhD. And now he's the principal engineer at Intel. One of my friends knew him personally. He said he was weird as crap, but being weird as crap is kind of normal in Nerd Haven. A principal engineer. It's a rank on the technical track. The usual progression is something like junior sweat, software engineer, senior sweat, architect, principal sweat, technical fellow. Though Intel may be a bit different, he's almost certainly pretty high. My school genius got a 5 out of 5 in Calculus 2 AP when he was a junior in high school. He was a cocky mother but no one denied the kid was a genius. Loved learning, and loved being smart. He had completed most AP classes by the time his senior year had started. He got accepted to MIT for physics. He got drunk one night during graduate school, scaled a building on campus with his friends, and fell off, killing himself in Darwinian fashion. It's truly one of the most ironic things I've ever seen. The smartest person I've ever met died in the dumbest way I had ever seen. A physicist that didn't obey the law of gravity. My school's genius was painfully awkward and socially inept, but still a pretty nice guy. Perfect score on the ACT and the SATs. I have no idea where he chose to go to school. He owns his own lighting design company along with his wife who is an interior decorator. They just bought their 3rd vacation home. Our school genius was also very awkward and socially inept. This was in middle school. He took the SAS in 8th grade, scored perfect and skipped all of high school and went straight to university at 14. He jumped off the 20th floor at the university the next year. Both killed themselves. One because he was only measured by his achievements, not his personality, even at his funeral. The other one must have had mental issues no one was aware of. WTF. People really be at the funeral like I was only 2nd in the National Smart People League. Such a shame this human died so we can't see how he can improve himself to be a trophy collected. My friend Ian was the smartest kid in school. He was 2 grades above me, got a perfect score on SAT, and actually wrote the skeleton of a play for the drama club. Me and some other people higher up in the club all sat down with him and our drama teacher and did some editing, like made lines shorter, easier to memorize. He used really big words, added or changed characters so we could use more people. He jokingly applied to Yale just to see what would happen. He actually got in and they really wanted him to go, just not enough to lower prices enough for someone from Hicksville, MI to go there. He ended up going to Michigan Tech. I don't remember what his major is. Got a job right out of high school for the best gaming company in our country, basically our local Google. His starting salary was bigger than my parents who've worked the same job for 10 years. He spent every paycheck on video games and was fired after like 3 months for being lazy. Brains and talent are nothing compared to the power of sloth. My school have one, a freaking genius that excelled at every scientific subjects and entered one of the best university in my country for medical profession. Everyone in my school thought he would become a surgeon or something like that. Well, he did graduate university, but never got his license to be a proper doctor. Apparently during university, he found out that he really like and good at boxing. Currently, about 5 years after he graduated, he had become professional athlete in boxing and won a few championships. The dude has one of the best minds I've ever seen, but apparently nothing make him happier than boxing. There was this one kid who was autistic. He could memorize basically anything in seconds, but is practically impossible to communicate with unless you were someone close to him. Don't know how he's doing now, but from what I've heard he still needs full-time support from his parents. I went to school with Nigel Short. I'm not sure what his ranking is nowadays, but if I remember rightly he's a big name in the chess world. He loves to do and say very questionable things. Yes, he is a great player, but I can't look over the fact he was invited to an Australian tournament a few years ago that he participated in, and won, and gave himself the brilliancy prize. Who does that? This guy was beyond genius. I mean, just knew a little bit of everything, valedictorian etc. He was rather sheltered by his own choosing. Got a full ride scholarship to MIT. In his first semester he discovered he really liked sex and alcohol. Ended up dropping out after that first year and had a pretty fricked up life for a decade or so. Something, I don't know what, woke him up and he turned himself around and is currently an executive for one of the world's largest construction firms. We had a couple. Most notable had perfect SAT scores, was studying at Juilliard, and played solo concerts. Pianist. Nice kid. 2. Is now a dean at a university. We had a kid that came from China. He skipped 3 or 4 grades, so he was like 12 and 9th grade. He carried all of his textbooks in a wheelie suitcase. All of the dumb jocks adored him. He was their mascot. He went to Harvard Business School and now works at a VC firm in LA. That turned so wholesome. School genius was an absolute sweetheart, and still is. He received 98% on the IB, International Baccalaureate, and went to Oxford to study law. We are Australian, so that is a big deal. He has since returned and become a corporate lawyer earning huge amounts. Met his now wife at a corporate event, and at the age of 36 has 2 beautiful little girls. His parents were extremely well off, but he also worked his ass off to get to where he is today. He is one of those rich white guys that fortunately doesn't take anything for granted, and knows how lucky he has been, but can also hold his head high because he has worked hard for everything he has. I had the school genius in my class. She always had the best grades in all school. Could have gone to med school if she wanted. Went to law school because her parents were both lawyers. It took her almost twice the time to finish it. Where I'm from it's 4 years for the degree, and she took 7, and is currently working as a shop assistant at Primark, a clothing shop in Europe. I heard she had a major meltdown in uni because her grades weren't top of the class, and she didn't know how to handle it. We did. She was one of my best friends. She went through a stoner phase, drinks like a fish, married a stripper, and now works insurance. On the other side of the spectrum, the kid who nearly failed every math class and was literally kicked out of college now makes nearly $100k a year doing web development. Life's a frickin' trip. College isn't for everyone, but it's a good place to start life. Go to college, see where it goes. Full ride to Yale. We all thought he'd become a world-renowned scientist and cure cancer or whatever, but he became a venture capitalist instead. Now C-suite at a prestigious VC firm with close ties to Mark Zuckerberg. I went to a small high school, about 70 kids per grade in Kansas. The genius in the grade above me works at the Large Hadron Collider in Europe. He was a really good dude. The best story that stuck out for me is he used to hang out with another guy, Eric, who was pretty hardcore football player and wrestling no one wanted to mess with. One day I heard a teacher say jokingly it's scary they hang out together because he's smart enough to build a bomb and Eric is crazy enough to use it. Originally read this as a hard-on collider. Clearly I was not the school genius. I was friends with one of the smartest guys in the entire district. Perfect sats, gifted student, the whole 9 yards. Got a free ride to Kent State. Stayed for 1 semester and immediately dropped out to live at home. I can only imagine he couldn't handle it and ran as far away from a secondary education as he could. I ran into him at Walmart years ago. He was a pack-a-day smoker. He always detested smoking when I knew him, and he asked me to come to my house and demo a vacuum cleaner. I politely declined. There was a girl whom was known for straight A's and studied a ton. She had a hard time paying for college after high school though and started working at a strip club. We had at least 3 or 4 and they all went on to Ivy League colleges, except the one I knew was more than just an acquaintance. He went to an in-state college for the tuition and now works for NASA in their jet propulsion laboratory and as a Langley intern. They were all very nice people. One of them used to stop me in the hallway like a creeper, but it always turned out to be for real nice, lovely reasons. Like when he got a ton of chocolate for Valentine's Day and hated chocolate, so when he saw me out of class for a bathroom break, he whispered my name a bunch until I turned around and went, "This is awkward. But do you like chocolate? Because I have a ton and I don't like chocolate." We ended up standing by his locker, chatting while I nibbled chocolate. Another is also working at NASA, but I forget which department division. Finally, one's a doctor in Massachusetts who does a bunch for charity and does Doctors Without Borders all the time. I don't know why we had an abnormal amount of geniuses in the years I went to middle high school, but we were slammed. Still, they were the nicest, most humble people I ever met, and 10/10 would sleep next to them in chemistry again. Guy I went to grammar school with had an IQ equal to Albert Einstein's. This is at the school that Isaac Newton went to, and he was a complete dong. Went on the news saying all my friends call me genius, which was total bollocks, resulting in the nickname Penis for a few years. Kids are cruel. Pretty sure he became a stoner and went into graphic design or something. Penis. My freaking sides. Couple. One got rejected from MIT, supposedly because they had too many Asians. Ended up going to Caltech and now works at JPL. There's actually an interview of him going around talking about one of the Mars rovers. He's still comically awkward. Another went to Harvard on a full academic scholarship and was a VP of a Fortune 500 before the age of 30. So he ended up getting better education and nicer weather. That turned out well. I knew a genius in high school who jumped 2 grades. He was 12 as a freshman. He was first seat in symphony orchestra, attracted all the girls' attention, and excelled in every class including calculus, AB and physics too. This kid was pretty humble and introverted, but showed signs of mental illnesses like schizophrenia. I saw him last year in high school just randomly shaking his head and arm and returning back to normal like nothing had happened. That might just be Tourette's. Only about 20% of people affected with Tourette's shout profanities, but about all of them have some sort of muscle spasms. My school was literally started for him. His parents had homeschooled him, and while they were both extremely intelligent, they wanted him to have a high school for some reason. So they got a charter school started his freshman year. I have no idea where he is or what he's doing. Yup, she was a literal genius and had the papers to prove it. And despite being ridiculously ahead of everyone in the school, she was so nice. She didn't mind helping us idiots. She was also very pretty and popular with just about everyone. I have no clue where she is now in life. Hopefully not depressed or wasting away. He killed himself during his first term at uni. He was so clever. Just an amazing brain, but had no social skills. He couldn't make friends very well and just studied continuously when he wasn't in lessons. He couldn't cope with the social side and the less structured aspects of university life. He jumped off the Clifton Suspension Bridge. He was only 18. Went to university for statistics, switched to philosophy, got job at Quiznos, married ugly woman who took all his inherited money, haven't heard from him in years. Dang, this got sad. Quite a few actually. We were all in the help with the answers group. Smartest guy is probably the one that did a stint at CERN as a particle physics student. Always a down-to-earth guy even though he probably had double my intelligence. Our school genius wasn't a genius at all. He would have been above average at a larger school, but the problem was this was a class of 80 in rural Missouri. He's a fairly successful lawyer now. Most people from the class are on welfare or work labor jobs. My school genius was a bossy know-it-all, like a badly written Lisa Simpson. She was bullied a lot. I was the runner-up smart kid. Smart enough to be smarter than everyone else, but under the radar enough to avoid daily hatred. I went through a roller coaster relationship with her. We were friends, then we weren't. Then we were, then we weren't. It was my fault, really. I was an butthole of a kid. Her mum was really overbearing about her studies and extracurricular activities, to the point that even other kids would whisper about it, and the poor girl had multiple breakdowns. I don't know what happened to her after primary school. I don't even know if she's still alive tbh. Poor girl was destined to be one of two things, a genius or a statistic. That kind of pressure can really damage a kid. That kind of pressure really does destroy you, for years. Harvard, hedge fund, invested in a bunch of restaurants, moved to Asia, seems to have gone full-blown sociopath and thinks everyone is inferior to him, plans to never marry and just bang prostitutes. The post-Harvard ancient blow nomad capitalist, living the dream. Girl who graduated at 14. She was really pretentious and arrogant then. Now she lives in California and works at a tattoo shop. A few friends say they've talked with her and she's still super arrogant. Perfect score on SATs. Only applied to Harvard. Didn't get in. Went to community college. I don't know why he didn't go somewhere else. And maybe he eventually did go to Harvard, but dang, that must have been a humbling time in his life. Community college is nothing to be ashamed of. It's the far and away cheaper way to do things. I hung out with a crew of them. We all played D&D together. Those were good times. These were wildly bright kids and they all came from good homes. One is a commercial airline pilot now. 2 work for NASA. 1 flew fighter jets in the Air Force. 1 got a full ride to MIT and is doing some kind of engineering work last time I checked. 1 is a successful graphic designer living a comfortable life with his lovely wife and 5 kids. The wife posts a little too much on Facebook, but she is good people. 1 is social justice lawyer or some such, and a successful one at that. Then there's me. I was the poor kid in the group. Even if I was the dumbest one of them all, I'm still probably somewhat smarter than an average Joe. I ended up working at a big box department store to help my family pay the bills while I watched all of my friends go on to have wildly successful careers. By the time I did go to college, I felt like I was already way too old. I won some prestigious national scholarships that took me to some interesting places, but I chose a degree that nurtured my soul, not my bank account. I own that one and I don't have any regrets, but I don't have any money either. So now I'm unemployed, going on 32, and I just feel tired all the time. It's like I've had the best years drained out of me. I own my own blame for my choices, but I think being poor had a lot to do with where I am now. My girlfriend and I just broke up last Sunday. One of the deciding factors was that we were in 2 different places life path-wise. What a crap show. He was my frenemy. Got a full ride scholarship to a Division I school for legit academic excellence. Had a 7-figure job as eventual head of his family's company waiting for him. All he had to do was finish college. Quit college 2 years in. Ran a business his parents bought him into the ground. Soon after, DUIs started. Driver's license now gone. Ostensibly for life. Now works as a crappy bartender and plays in awful bands. His kid's baby mama lives with him and their terror of a kid in the 4-bedroom almost mansion his parents gave him after it was revealed he could no longer drive. I'll never understand why he didn't at the very least finish college. But since he apparently has a huge safety net made out of money, he will likely never have to be accountable, ever. He wasn't a genius. He was a socially awkward, uncharismatic, and most importantly didn't like authority. Everyone expected him to fail. The girls in class used to say he will be living with his parents until he was 50. He was going to die alone. He was going to be a pedophile or commit suicide. I remember some people shooting paintballs at him when he was walking home. This was when they were around 16 to 18 years old. Turns out he can play the stock market and has a mind for business. He bought his 3rd house recently and posted about it on Facebook. A lot of the people that bullied him and treated him like dirt started treating him like royalty. They talked about how they were good friends, fun times, etc. He didn't buy it for a second. One of the girls tried to sue him for sexual harassment's false rape claim. He won easily because he has not had any physical contact with anyone from the graduating class because he flew across the country and didn't want to see any of them. Our HS keeps trying to invite him back to do a speech, talk, or just tell anyone the secret to his success. He told them to frick right off. When they said they were going to open a new building and name it after him, he told them they better not because he refuses to give his name to that school in any kind of capacity. The school quickly backed down. I wouldn't say he is a completely 100% happy person. He is very defensive and doesn't trust others openly. He has a few friends and from the looks of things that's all he needs. L was the same. See my post above. When my school came looking where L was and what L was doing, because L never went back or saw anyone after graduation day, L wrote deceased on the letter and sent it back. Not from my school, but there was this kid who is my mom's friend's son. When I was young, my mom would tell me stories of how good he had studying and how he's a gifted student and probably going to be a doctor, lawyer and earn lots of money, maybe as a way to compare me to other kids to motivate me in studies. The way that they praised him, I legitimately thought as a kid that he's going to be a future president or something. Fast forward many years later, that guy decided to drop out of school and went to be a tattoo artist. He has full sleeves on both hands too. Heard that his parents were disappointed that he turned out that way, but hey, at least he's doing what he loves right now and not be forced to be what his parents' vision of him. And his student debt is 0. We were never friends, so I don't know what her aspirations were or what she's currently up to. She was always cool and nice though. Everyone who knew her pretty much respected her as the top student of the school but also a good friend to others. She wasn't frightening but her intelligence was a bit intimidating. I liked her and everyone had high hopes for her. I don't know what she's doing but from what little I've heard, I'm glad she's doing well still. Yes, not many people knows him. I know him because he tutored me physics for free. Nice senior. Won a game developing competition by creating a VR game when everyone else just created Mario clone. Won National Economics Olympiad. He tutored everyone who does physics Olympiad as well. For God's sake, he's tutoring the best people who joined physics and computer competition when he himself focus on economics. After winning the Economics Olympiad, every best university offer him scholarship, but he refused them all to join one of the best university in nuclear physics. I was one of the top kids in my school, projected top grades in pretty much everything. I seriously wanted to be a nuclear physicist when I was about 12. This was in a rough sinker state school that really wasn't expected to churn out anything but factory drones. At 13 I discovered alcohol, then drugs, and fricked the lot up. Spent the next 30 years on and off amphetamines and other drugs. I basically ruined my life and any career prospects. I managed to accidentally get into IT during a clean phase, and stuck with that for nearly 20 years, with absolutely no interest in it. It was easy, paid very well and you could be a functioning addict while doing it. Currently clean, apart from prescription opiates, and pretty seriously, and permanently, ill, making scratch money restoring vintage motorbikes. Ironically, I'm the happiest I've been in decades. Making scratch money restoring vintage motorbikes. Ironically, I'm the happiest I've been in decades. Working in IT. Feeling like I don't really contribute to society, make anything useful, same balls every time. No complaints about the money, but I'd kill to learn how to restore vintage motorbikes. That's a trade you can be proud of. She got 2,390 out of 2,400 on the SAT. Now she's finishing up a biomedical PhD and engaged to a cute PhD student. I'd say she's doing great. Went to school with this guy that transferred from an all-gifted school. Was socially awkward, but I also thought he was gay. I'm also gay and we try to stick together. And I was right. We became friends and he helped me with calculus and I helped him improve his social awkwardness. He taught himself French and Russian in high school because he was bored. Went to Harvard and got a degree in applied mathematics and economics. Also began helping professors teach in their classes by sophomore year. He currently speaks 6 languages, something he does with his spare time, and is married to a great guy in Colorado. He's currently working on a law degree, because why not, and works for a donut company because that's what he likes to do. Really genuine and nice guy. Yup, my best friend. She's still freakishly smart. Just got a STEM PhD from Harvard and felt guilty that it took her so long to finish. She finished in 6 years after skipping a grade in school. She's 27 and has a freaking STEM PhD and feels like she hasn't done enough. That girl is gonna cure cancer. She's going to cure cancer, refuse to patent the technology, and do everything in her power to make sure it's a super low cost drug everybody can afford. That drug will save millions of lives. She'll win every prize ever, and then she'll be sad that she couldn't make the miracle drug cure cancer and diabetes. Although I'm sure it seems unfair that they are not satisfied even though they are clearly doing amazing. I really feel bad for them. Imposter syndrome is rampant in the STEM fields and it's all too common to be way too hard on yourself to the point it can cause serious mental health issues. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.